Hello and welcome to this video on the Vertigo DSP card from SSSR Labs. Now this is the first kind of non-Tiptop audio commercial card. This is an enclosed effect card for the Tiptop Audio Z-DSP platform. And SSSR Labs say that the Vertigo DSP card contains a collection of 8 DSP algorithms which are specifically designed to convert a mono signal to an animated stereo soundscape with a spacey and creamy feel. So grab that drink, timing index on the screen, patch previews have already happened. Hope you like what you hear. Let's dive in. So I thought we'd start with just a lovely Lush stereo sound bath. This is just rings plinking away in stereo. Here's the dry sound. And throughout the video I'll use a range of different sources. I just particularly like this one while I was starting to set up patches for the video. Now this is the first algorithm, the Sidechain Infinite Hall. And I'll put some text up for all the patches because SSSR Labs have gone to the effort of really describing all this nicely, so let's use that text from them on their website. This is a large hall with minimum coloration and a decay time that varies from a couple of seconds to infinite time. We can capture sounds endlessly and just sit in this infinite kind of decaying feedback. It's gorgeous. I mean, listen to it. It speaks for itself. With the mix just above 50-50, let's have there's the shortest reverb up to really long sounds. And a unique thing about this is the sidechain, the fact that the input sound will duck this tail. I mean, listen to it. We're getting moments of long, sustaining, infinite reverb that's then being cut out by the dry sound, which means even at full whack and turning the density up, it doesn't get too out of hand. Detune adds a chorus-like effect. So for each of these 8 effects on the Vertigo card, I'll do one patch where I really walk through it, and one where I don't talk too much. So here's a synth sound, here it is dry, quite complex, lots of modulation, some panning on these 2 inputs. And here's adding in the sound, and I'll just play around and let you listen. So this is the first of two BBD emulations. This is a structural recreation of a stereo tapped delay made using classic solid-state analog delay technology, a Bucket Brigade device chip. Now on this one we get control for grit, and this adjusts the noise ratio in the signal. Lower noise at its minimum, very noisy sound at its maximum. We then get low frequency damp, which rolls off some of the low end from between 50 to 150 Hz, and the delay time. And we're using the Z-DSP's kind of analog feedback to create our normal feedback. Which is wicked, really nicely dubbed out. The next mode is also a BBD emulator with a different drive. So I'll bounce between the two for this patch. Here it is just on my snare. And listen to that noise cleanup. And I really like the noise, especially in this kind of dubby beat. It works really well. Low frequency roll off. Keeping that body of the snare in. Or filtering the lows out. This is really nice with more feedback. So the dry sound still has its impact, but the trail much thinner. Let's have a quick play in that other BBD mode. So here's another sound with these two tap BBD emulators, looking at the first one with the grit and noise control, and then the third effect with a different harmonic structure to the drive control. And that dry sound. Bandpass filtered oscillator into a low pass gate, which is both struck and LFO modulated. Let's check out the other BBD mode. You can hear that saturation. Now the fourth algorithm is a 6-tap diffused delay, which is a complex algorithm partly acting like older discrete DSP effects processors. It consists of a vibrato effect, followed by a reverb diffusion block with modulation, which is in turn followed by adjustable length delay lines with up to 6 taps. Now regarding feedback in this setting, there is a softney limiter at the input, so we can just kind of boldly play around with feedback all the way up to maximum, but at certain settings there's a lot of diffusion, as we'll see. And there's that vibrato like chorusing effect. can hear that diffusion really smearing everything. It's a really nice combination of chorus, reverb, delay. So here's some more of this 6-tap diffused delay without me really talking over it. Bass drum, hi-hat and synth line, there they are dry, and then I'm sending a send out with a blend of all three into the Z-DSP fully wet back into my mixer. Let's just play around. Of course, the Z-DSP's got all these points to modulate them on, and you can modulate these 3 parameters on the card, the analog feedback, the dry-wet blend. But in this video, I'm going to continue to just focus on the real kind of sound of the effects, because they sound that good. I want to spend some time letting you hear it. So this 5th algorithm is the Disorientating Delay. It's an experimental effect combining an axis rotation engine and a dual delay. The axis rotator uses vector coordinate transformation equations, but at the end it acts like an auto pan with a ring modulator. The signal inputs left and right represent x and y coordinates in a 2-dimensional space, and the first rotator, the spin control, controls those points around that virtual center, and the second rotator, the movement control, additionally routes them around the left and right stereo field. Finally, the signal goes into parallel delay lines. Now let's just listen to it. It does have this really cool, haunting, disorientating kind of vibe. The dry sound here, just an oscillating filter, playing a basic sequence. So you have the rate of XY rotation, the rate of left-right rotation. And it goes without saying, I do say this quite often in videos, if you don't have some headphones on or decent speakers, get some good sound on so you can really hear what this is doing. This is delay time. And you can hear this like overlapping tremolo kind of vibe. So here's another sound into this disorientating delay. Here it is dry, complex, high-end metallic sound. And again, let's just play around and I'll shut up. Let the sound do the talking, as it were. Really nice stereo movement. So algorithm 6 is a Rotary Speaker Engine, and this is a simple rotary speaker simulation minus the speaker's impulse response. This affects the pan and the pitch of the sound. Now rate controls the rotation rate. Spread is the stereo spread of the rotation, which you could interpret between the distance between the rotary speaker and the microphone, or as the size of the rotary speaker. And then the chorus is the amount of Doppler effect. It's basically a vibrato that's synced with the rotation rate of the speaker. They note that the effect has gain close to unity and a very short input to output delay, so feeding the output back to the input will cause unpleasant resonant ringing. It's recommended to disable any feedback. So here's my dry sound. Droning sine with 2 different LFOs modulating 2 points of FM. Fully wet. It's really nice to have the rate of the kind of auto pan, this rotating speaker, and the spread. can just do more subtle movement. Nice kind of slow pan across there. With that center null, which you'd get when a rotating speaker kind of passes a microphone and the back of it is facing the mic. The chorus, which is like the vibrato. More obvious when there's some dry-in. And it's that pitch change giving us that Doppler-like effect. So here's the Rotary Speaker Engine on my hi-hats. And I won't talk much through this patch, but a couple of things. Here it is dry. That's what we're going to be getting into. I'm going to add some modulation to these hi-hats to take them to longer noise-like sounds. And here's that dry beat in the background, not going through the Z-DSP. Hi-hats back in, and let's play around, panning them around. So the 7th algorithm is a dual 6-stage phaser, which is 2 6-stage phase shifters which work independently or as a stereo quadrature modulated phaser. A sine wave modulates the left channel and a cosine modulates the right channel, so they're offset from each other. And this creates that special rotational phaser-like feel. The range parameter is used as a mode switch, and the other parameters have dual function purpose. The rate left. With a non-zero range, you can control the rate of this quadrature LFO and modulate the phase shift amount of each channel. With zero range control, this actually controls the phase shift of the left channel manually. The range control at its minimum enables independent CV control over each phase of each channel. And when you open up the range, this is the depth of modulation, the width of the sweep of that LFO. The offset right, again with a non-zero range, will offset this phase sweep. Here's the range of the LFO. And it goes suitably slow. This is my dry in, just kind of bounced around sound in a VCA. Again with that range down zero, as I said. Manual phase of left and right. Offsetting the right phase. Of course we aren't using CV here, we haven't done in this video. But as I said, when the range is down low, you could use these CV inputs to manually move these phases. So here's some stereo string-like sounds through the phaser. And a really slow phase works really nicely here. So algorithm 8 is an impulse spatializer, and this algorithm converts a mono signal to a true stereo signal with the purpose of it being ready for further spatial effects. It uses a simplified stereo impulse response of a real room, and that impulse response is divided into 3 parts: early reflections, peak reflections, and late reflections. The brightness is the level of the late reflections in the impulse response, and density is the largest kind of set of samples from this impulse response. And practically speaking, it's just a direct signal delayed by literally a couple of samples. And feedback's not recommended with this patch, but of course we're going to check it out. So, dry sound. Simple waveform being sequenced, directly in, droning away, same sound both sides. And then that delay. And this really is a headphone one if you haven't grabbed some headphones for this demo yet. Hear that width start to open up? Fully wet, you should really perceive that, especially in headphones. And brightness. Kind of more diffused like quality to it, bringing in some of those extra reflections. And it's certainly the least obvious of any of the effects here, but it is really useful to create a stereo image before you go into further stereo processing. So let's just do that and get some more sounds in and some more processing downstream for the final patch. So for this second patch with the 8th algorithm, the impulse spatializer, I thought I would modulate it. First bit of modulation in the video. There's an LFO going into spread, controlling the delay time of that right signal, and by modulating that, this is what's giving us this chorusing. So this effect creates a stereo image from an otherwise mono basic droning oscillator that has its pitch sequenced. This is going in some stereo filtering, lots of different stereo modulation on each side, up into some stereo delay. With this dry. Still a nice patch, it's still stereo because of the stereo filtering and delay, but with it, we have this offset, this stereo image already, and this nice chorusing from the modulation. So that's the Vertigo DSP card for the Tiptop Audio Z-DSP. Check out more Z-DSP videos that I'll link in the description. Check out more SSSR Labs videos that I'll link in the description as well. Support my work on patreon.com/divkid. Give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I hope you've enjoyed these effects. I wanted to take my time and just let us kind of sit and bathe in these nice effects. They really do deserve just being listened to properly, I thought. So rather than rush through it, that's the video. Cheers for watching, see you next time. Bye bye.